I was going through my life. I left school at 15. I didn't take a major exam because I went to be a professional footballer with Coventry and others. And then my career ended with rheumatoid arthritis. I played a whole year of league football with rheumatoid arthritis. That's a whole story in itself. But what that did is it developed in you, because all these things are within us, and experience brings them out. And if you don't have experience, often they don't come out. So I have this phrase, life tends to give us our greatest gifts, brilliantly disguised as our worst nightmares. Mm. Because often our worst nightmare will bring things out of us that wouldn't otherwise happen. This is why if you bring your kids up and you protect them from everything, you're doing them no favors, because you're not developing strong people who will be able to deal with life. You're developing people who are always looking to be protected. And look at what we have now. And once you have a generation or you have a population that wants to be protected and perceives itself all the time as being a victim, where does the point of power move? It moves to authority, because people look to authority to protect them from what they fear or what they feel victimized by. So what we've been developing is a population of emotionally weak people who perceive themselves in terms of victims. When you have challenges in life and you meet them, it brings something out of you. So, for instance, when my arthritis came, and I didn't know what else am I going to do at that time. I wanted to be a footballer. I wanted to be a footballer since I was a kid. And now my joints are swelling up, and they're telling me I'm going to have to pack it in. Now I thought, I'm not packing it in. I want to give it a go. So I went to a club called Hereford United that was a league club then. And I played the whole season with rheumatoid arthritis. Every morning when we were training and warming up for training on cold English mornings, I was in agony. And I would be limping and what have you, and the players would say, "Oh, what's wrong now, Icke?" And I would give a different excuse. "Oh, I've got a bit of a pull. Oh, I think I've got a bit of a blister." But actually it was the same thing all the time. And I played the season out, and eventually it got so bad that I couldn't carry on. But it brought something out of me, this determination not to give up and not to give in. And then I decided, because when I was a kid, I was always reading newspapers, and I was very interested in journalism. So I became a journalist, and long story short, I eventually became a television presenter.
Well, very well known back then.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was a national television presenter in those days. And when I look at my life now, you see, and what I'm doing, my life before, which appeared to be a series of random events. Same with you. You've had your challenges in life. What has it done? It's made you the person you are. You wouldn't be the person you are now without them. Mm-hmm. And people say, "Well, I regret that. I regret that." Well, the thing to regret is if you don't learn from the experience. That's the regret. But learning from the experience, well, you've had a gift. What are you regretting for? And so I went into journalism because I was very interested in that. And I eventually became this television presenter. And when you look at my life, as I was saying, all the different elements of it, including going into journalism and seeing the media for what it is, going into politics with the Green Party and seeing politics for what it is, well, I didn't know at the time, but they were all giving me very, very important understandings that will be useful later on.
Next is worry. I mean, you know, you got to worry some. But here's the clue. Don't let it conquer you. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning and your daughter's not home, yes, you've got to worry. If you're in New York City and step off the curb and one of those yellow taxis is coming, yes, you better worry. But mark this down. Let worry alarm you, but don't let it conquer you. We all need to be concerned. We all need to be concerned. If there's enemies around, we need to be concerned. If it isn't going well, yes, we need to be concerned. But I'm asking you to let it concern, let it touch you, let it alarm you, but don't let it conquer you. Take all of the worries you've got and try to drive them into the smallest corner you can possibly find. If you don't, worry will be like a mad dog loose in the house. It'll have you in the corner. So whatever your enemies are here, drive them into a small corner. Here's the next one. Over caution. Hey, in the spring, if you're too cautious, you never will plant the seed. If you're too cautious, you won't take the chance. If you're too cautious, you won't step out front. If you're so cautious, you probably never would have done your first meeting. Make this note. You got to take a chance. Drive your tendency to be too cautious. Drive it into a small corner. Yes, you can't be gullible. No, you can't go for everything. Yes, you've got to be careful. Yes, but don't be so cautious that it paralyzes you. Don't be so cautious that it restricts your chance to do better. See if you can't conquer that. Here's the next one. Pessimism. Yes, there's the dark side. Yes, there's the problem side. Yes, there's the difficult side. But I'm telling you, it's not the only side. Yes, the glass is half empty, but it's also half full. Yes, there's the dark side, but there's the light side. Yes, the night comes, but so does the day. I'm telling you, don't be afraid of both sides, opportunity and difficulty, chance and danger. Learn how to handle it all. Now here's the last one. When you get back home, you've got to deal with it. I have to deal with it. We all have to deal with it. And that's complaining. Yes, there's room for a legitimate complaint. Yes, there's room for a legitimate business complaint. Yes, there's room for a legitimate complaint with the 13th floor. Yes, there's room for a legitimate complaint with the warehouse. Yes, there's room for a legitimate complaint once in a while with each other. But here's what I'm asking you. Don't let complaining master your life. If you become a chronic complainer, I'm telling you, nobody wants to be around you. Chronic complainer. I wouldn't want you for a business partner. Don't let complaining conquer your life.
It's really just a language trick. It's really just something that you need to understand, that how you speak to yourself determines how you act. And a lot of you guys make things harder on yourselves than what it really has to be. For example, when we talk about building a company and we talk about sacrificing the weekends and the nights out and the times with friends, the vacations, we talk about it in terms of like, it's this painful thing, right? Sacrifice. Or we talk about building a body, or we talk about building your mind through, maybe 75 hard. We talk about sacrifice, and we talk about how hard it is, and we talk about how painful it is. And we almost like hang our hats on that. And I get that. I do that as well. Like, I like to think I'm a bad motherfucker. I like to think I'm putting in the fucking work nobody else will do. And that makes me feel good. But the problem with that, guys, is that sometimes that language can actually make shit artificially harder than what it has to be. And so I want you to do this. I want you to stop thinking of things in terms of sacrifice. And I want you to start thinking in terms of investment. All right. One of the biggest mistakes that you will make as a human on a path to success, whether that success be financially, physically, spiritually, in interpersonal relationships, whatever it is, there's success in all areas. When you think of it as a sacrifice, you're making it extra hard on yourself. And so what I want you to do is I want you to start thinking about investment. And I want you to understand that when you miss the weekends with the guys, or miss the night out with the girls, or you pass on the trip, or you do this, you're not sacrificing anything. You're actually making an investment, because the investment is delayed gratification, and you just haven't seen the payoff yet. All right. So when you miss a night out to work out, you're not sacrificing a night out. You're making an investment in the future. And that investment in the future is going to create a better life. It's going to create more money. It's going to create better relationships. It's going to create a better body. It's going to create more confidence. When you're getting something in return for what you're giving up, it's not really a sacrifice. It's an investment. And this is something that all of you guys need to get really clear on, because as men especially, and some women, we like to feel tough. We like to feel badass. And I'm guilty of pushing that a little bit, sometimes too, because I like to feel badass. But the truth of the matter is that when I skip something fun to do something that's hard, I know that there's a payoff coming later. And what this really comes down to is understanding delayed gratification.
To your reaching your dream, your living up to your greatness, your making your contribution is you. If the economy is good, fantastic. If the banks are loaning money, that's great. If people are positive, that's great. You don't have any opposition, that's great. But the major key to your making things happen in your life is you. When I wanted to get on public television, they told me, you can't do that. So wait a minute, I've seen these other people on. It's possible I can get on. Leo Biscaya, John Bradshaw, it's possible. Excuse me, hold on, time out. Let's be realistic. Come on, be logical. I said, well, wait a minute, why can't I do it? Let's look here. Think about guys who have credentials, all kind of credentials. You don't have any college training. They're not going to put you on television. Give me a break. I said, thank you for that. And went on about my business. You hear me? Let me tell you something. What people think about you and the possibilities for your dream is none of your business. That's their business. They have no imagination, ladies and gentlemen. They're living out of the past, out of their memory. Their attitude is it can't be done because they haven't seen it. They're judging according to appearances. The people that are going to make it in the future, the people that are making it today, let me share something with you. History is being read, but it's also being written by people with imagination. So I went to the next mode necessary to start talking to people and seeking and asking for what I wanted and leveraging relationships and trying to find out how do the people do it that went ahead of me? How do they do it? And then what is it I need to do? How is it I need to train myself, to develop myself? What's the resources that will be required in order to make it happen? And as I start seeking out and asking questions, I started running into people who said, I know someone who can help you do that. And they helped me get connected with those people. Remember, we have so much energy that can take us so far. It's necessary that you hook up with some other energy that can take you to the next level. I hooked up with them. They said, let's go. I said, away we go. It's necessary you take responsibility for it, that you make it happen, that you don't give up, that you don't take any objection or disappointment or defeats personally, that you keep on keeping on, that you don't decide that I can't make it because you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, that you realize that's a part of the program. And here's something you've got to resolve. Say this to yourself every day. See, as long as you're breathing, you got a shot at your dream. That's the way I resolve. Say this, please. It's not over. It's not over till I win. Not over till I get through. It's not over till I get over. Not over till I get what I want. Door can't open today. Look out. I'm going to come back and take the hinges off. That's how you got to do that. You've got to have that kind of courage, that type of determination. If you want to make it happen, it's you. That you've got to take personal responsibility to make it happen. That you have got to own what it is that you want to do. If it's taking care of your well-being, if it's making a difference in our school system, if it's working with senior citizens, if it's to protect our ecology, if it's to create an economic renaissance, if it's just to take yourself to another level, it's you. You've got to make that happen. We can point out many things that can make it inconvenient or can slow us down, but ultimately, it's on us. Next step is, not only is it possible and necessary, and it's you to live your dream, to make this greatness that you have within you become a reality, but what I've come to appreciate when you're working on changing your life, changing some bad habit, getting out of addictive situations or relationships, or working to build a dream or making a difference in our society, or learning something that's very challenging. Here's what I realize, ladies and gentlemen, and develop a great deal of respect for. It's hard. Easy is not an option. It's hard living. Life is hard. See, it's hard when you are 49 years old, been working on a job for 17 years, and they come in and tell you you're finished and give you 1 week severance pay, and you got to start all over again. It's hard when you're married and raising children and your children are crawling and your husband dies unexpectedly. It's hard handling just the tragedies of life. It's hard. When you're working on something and you put everything you have in it, and it doesn't work out, you lose your money and other people's money. It's hard. It was rough when I lost my job, and I could not find a job. It was humiliating and embarrassing, borrowing money, and then I couldn't pay the money back when I told them I would. That's rough. How people look at you, how they respond to you. It's very hard. It's humiliating. Here's what I discovered that happens to you in life, that you will go through things, and while you're going through them, you can't understand why it's happening to you. But after you go through it and you get back and you look at it and you say, oh, now I understand why I needed that lesson. Have you ever happened to you? Raise your hand. Has it ever happened to you that I couldn't understand it then, but after I got through it, then I saw that that was preparing me for bigger and better things. That as you go through the challenges of life and you look at it and embrace whatever comes to you, don't run from it. Step toward it. Don't try and duck it like most people do. See, most people want it easy. See, easy come, easy what? Easy go. See, but when you go at what you're going to deal with and you deal with the difficulties of it, when you handle those hard things close at hand, making those hard decisions right now that you don't want to make, learning those things that you don't like to do, but you know that in order for you to get where you want to go, this is one of the hoops that you have to flip through. And I'm saying to you, whatever you got to do it, because if you don't, life is going to whoop you until you surrender and say, okay, all right, I cooperate, okay, I learned, okay. It had to wear me out a long time. So if it's hard, then do it hard. Now, how do you hang in there during the hard, difficult times? Les, you must have faith. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to believe in your abilities. You've got to believe in your service, your company, your ideas, unquestionably.
Sometimes you just have to believe in yourself. Nothing can be achieved until first it's believed. You have to believe it to see it. Sometimes the easiest way to get what you want is to just start, to just take that first step. You can do and be anything that you want, no matter what you've been told and conditioned to think growing up. Start from today to believe that you can. We know what we want, but we don't do anything to actually go and get it. All the while that you're standing around waiting, doubting yourself, telling yourself you can't have this and you can't have that for whatever reason, you're never going to get it. Focus on how your life will be better and what your life will look like when you get what you want. Greatness isn't achieved by that one massive thing you do. It's those tiny little consistent baby steps we take every single day that add up to achieving that goal. Amazing things happen when you believe you have something. Your brain actively goes out to make it happen. Believe that you can do it and work hard to get it, and it's yours. We are all born with the same amount of time in a day, and anything that they can do, you can do too. If you want to do something bad enough, you can get it.
I need you to believe. Because I can be up here speaking and up here sweating and up here crying and pouring my heart out to you, but if you have the mindset like nothing is ever going to change. Like some of you, when they was doing that play and they was doing that skit, some of you felt it. Some of you was like, wow, they sharing my story. But there was still a little voice in the back of your mind that said, yeah, but that's not really going to change. Or yeah, it's easier said than done. No, listen to me. Hear me loud and clear. Your mindset, your belief system is everything. And it is so powerful. And so I came all the way from Atlanta, Georgia to tell you, you were not a mistake. You were not an accident. You were here for a reason. I know you're going through some hard times. I know life at times might feel rough or you might feel weird or things might be frustrating, but it's not going to always be like this. Your condition is not your conclusion. There is so much more that's going to take place. There is so much more power that's inside you. If you make up in your mind, I choose to believe that I can do great things. And I want you to seriously think about your life. Like, think about where you are internally. We have a group of people in here. Some of you, you're struggling yourself. Some of you are just trying to get by. You got so many pressures on you. You want to make your family proud. You know what I'm saying? You want to get good grades. You want to make people proud. But then you also have friends and you want to be cool in their eyes and you want to kind of fit in there. And then some of you are in a really weird place. You feel like people don't understand you. You feel like you're having a hard time to connect with people. When you wake up in the morning, you feel like you're in the slumps and you feel tired and drained. Like, I get it. I've got a message for you, right? The people, those of you that's looking for acceptance from others, you're going to have to make up in your mind and say, you know what, whether you accept me or not, I'm amazing, I'm smart, I'm beautiful, I'm talented. Because if not, if you live for their acceptance, you'll die from their rejection.
What I know now, that when you don't fit in, when they don't like you, when they don't respond to you, when you're on the outside of the curve, when they don't appoint you, pick you, vote for you, celebrate you, when you're not in it, I wish I knew then what I know now, that God does not want you to fit in. He doesn't want you to fit in, because if you fit in, when you get to the place where God is taking you, somebody will try to take credit for you getting where you are going. But God doesn't want to share his glory with anybody. He doesn't want nobody else to try to take credit. When you get to the place where God is going to take you, can't nobody get credit but Jesus himself.
What is rejection? What is rejection? Rejection can be defined as the sense of being unwanted. You want people in your life to love you, but you believe for whatever reason that they do not, nor will they ever. You never, maybe you didn't feel the love of your mother. She was always there, but always interested in something else. Or maybe you never felt the acceptance from your father. He gave you his name. He gave you a place to live. He gave you food to eat, but he never gave you his time. He never gave you his interest. He never gave you himself, because he was always interested in something else. He was an absentee father. Reason some of you feel rejection is that you were in a storm with your husband or your wife who betrayed your wedding vows, who was unfaithful to you. They left you for someone else. It is a deep wound in your soul that has never healed. Divorce was bitter. Divorce was vicious. It left you with a wounded spirit. Some of you feel rejection and resentment because you were passed over for a promotion at your job, or your business partner destroyed your business through deception. You do not know the anguish, the heartache, the horror that a person sitting next to you has been going through, or the person sitting in front of you, or the person sitting behind you. You do not know the anguish of their heart, the torment of their mind, the tears that have ripped down their cheeks and fallen into their pillows because of the desperation of their soul.
The Bible says that God gives us beauty for ashes, that he heals the brokenhearted.
You cannot give up because it ain't what you see. You cannot give up. What you got to do is, you heard it, you read it. I sent it out on Twitter. I told you, champions keep going when they don't have anything left in their tank. I'm obsessed with improvement. Every day I'm getting better. There are those of you with phones, and every new phone that comes out, you get it. Every upgrade, you get it. Every piece of software, you get it. You are upgrading your technology, and you've not upgraded yourself. That's the difference between the greats. That's what separates them. When they don't have no more, when it's over, when they're tired, when they're frustrated, when they're ready to give up, when they spent their last dime, that's when they get started. I want to be a millionaire. I want to be the best at this company, right? But your value system says you believe in sleep more than you believe in grinding. Your value system says you are a consumer and not a producer. Listen to me, when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, when you ain't got nothing left in your tank, you got to think about the people in your life that you're doing this for. And then if you could think about them, you could go one more mile. You can go one more day at work. You can find a scholarship. Listen to me, when you're doing it for somebody else, when you like that lion, if I don't grind, if we don't grind, if I don't grind, they don't eat. The truth is, you gotta find something within. You gotta find something within, and that's gotta push you, and that's gotta elevate you, and that's gotta drive you, and that's gotta move you. And when you find out what your why is, and your why gotta be deeper than you, when you find your why, you don't hit snooze no more. When you find your why, you find a way to make it happen. It's when you have nothing left. It's when you depleted all your money, when all your energy gone, when you have nothing left, that's when it's showtime. When you find a way out of no way, when you find breath that you don't have, when you find energy that did not exist, when you want this thing as bad as you want to breathe, that's when you find a way.
Everybody is never going to be where they want to be in life because sometimes they focus too much on the bad things and not claiming the good times. Not claiming, hey, no matter what struggle I go through, I am going to make it. The beauty about the process is that you're learning something. You're learning about yourself. You're learning how to go through certain things. And you're learning how to build up. We are human beings, and human beings sometimes act on emotions. But you have to harness your emotions. You have to understand that you got to go through something to get to the level that you want in your life. Make this day count. Put all your energy, put all your power into what you do today. You got to keep moving forward. You got to keep fighting for it. You got to keep trusting in yourself. You got to keep pushing because you got unfinished business. If you do not hold on to the goodness within you, then all the bad things that are surrounding you right now will ultimately destroy your possibilities and taking yourself further in your life. Don't you realize that you got to have faith in yourself every single day of your life? Maybe you did get rejected. That doesn't mean that you're out the game. That doesn't mean that it's over. You got to keep moving on. Take the steps. Maybe take a few steps back, analyze the situation, and then keep pushing, keep going. Stay hungry and believe. Just keep on grinding. Yeah, it's gonna hurt, but keep on grinding. You're gonna have those bad days, but keep on grinding. You're gonna wanna quit, but keep on grinding. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a very important part of your life. It is a decision that you have to make within yourself. No one is responsible for that.
Now, I'm not telling you to not acknowledge your pain. I'm not saying that. I'm not telling you not to say, man, I'm going through this and it's hard. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when you go through it, look at it, step back from the picture and say, okay, I'm dealing with this. 9 out of 10 times, there's somebody else that's either dealt with it or they're going to deal with something similar to this. And if I deal with it in the right way, I can use it to add value to lives of other people. The funny thing was, I had never heard of the injury that I suffered. Never heard of it. When I went through it, I met probably 10 guys years after that have been going through it, that I could talk to at different stages and phases in the process and say, hey man, Icke, how did you deal with this? How did you deal with this? When they told you this, how did you accept that? And I was like, bingo, this is how I got through it. But I had to shift my perspective from why me to why not me? Can you take the things you learned that made you great in that sport and apply them to other areas and aspects of your life to make you just as great as a person? Man, it's funny. I think the true measure of wealth is happiness, right? Like I really do. And that's not saying that I'm against money. I'm not against that at all. Because you gotta work hard, make your money to take care of your family and be able to bless people. But I think it's a lot of people with so-called wealth and they don't have joy and they don't have happiness, right? And I feel like joy, happiness, and peace is the most important things we can possess. right? And for most people, the material possessions they feel are the most important. For me, when you got joy, when you got peace, when you got happiness, I think that's true wealth, because you can't put a price on that. Like for me, people can't understand. A guy asked me just yesterday, what do you think about stem cell? Why don't you go over to London or one of these places somewhere and try to get stem cell for your arm? And I was like, I got peace. And he's like, what does that mean? I was like, I'm good with my situation, right? Like I'm wealthy because of that. I got something that you can't put a price on, right? You can't price out my joy. You can't price out my happiness. You can't price out my peace. Now, if I measure wealth by money, money is a number. Numbers never end, right? So you never catch it. Numbers never stop. If your happiness is predicated upon a number, if you're being wealthy is predicated upon a number, you'll get it. Then it's like, okay, I got to set it a little bit higher. The number will never end. And so therefore, you'll never be wealthy enough.
How bad do you want it? The dreams God has placed in your heart, the promises He's spoken to you are not going to come to pass without opposition, without delays, without people trying to talk you out of it. There will be plenty of opportunities to get discouraged, to lose your passion and think that it's not meant to be. But if you're going to reach your destiny, you have to have a made-up mind. If you give up after the first time or the 5th time or the 30th time, what that really means is you didn't want it bad enough. There should be something you're believing for that you are relentless. You are not moved by how impossible it looks. You're not discouraged by how long it's taking. You don't give up because people told you no. Your attitude is, if I have to believe my whole life, I'm not going to stop believing. I am not going to take no for an answer. I'm not going to settle for mediocrity. I'm going to keep pursuing what God put in my heart. You can't be passive and indifferent. You have to have a holy determination. It's more than just your will. It's a fire on the inside, a knowing that it's supposed to be yours. When everything says it's not going to happen, instead of getting discouraged, you kick in to a new gear. Normal people would give up. Normal people would settle, but you're not normal. You want it on another level. When David was 17 years old, the prophet Samuel anointed him as the next king of Israel. But David didn't go to the palace. He went back to the shepherd's fields where it was lonely. He was overlooked, mistreated by his family. When he finally did go to the palace to serve King Saul, Saul became jealous of David and tried to kill him. David had done no wrong, yet he had to live on the run, hiding in caves, spending months out in the desert. He could have been discouraged, thought, God, this isn't fair. You anointed me to be king. Nothing is working out. But David didn't have a give-up spirit. He didn't feel sorry for himself. He didn't let circumstances talk him out of it. He had a warrior mentality. His attitude was, I am not quitting. I am not settling for mediocrity. I know there is greatness in me. I'm going to become who God says I am. One reason he took the throne is he wanted it bad enough. How bad do you want what God has put in your heart?
Remember how you had a job interview for a job? We've had several of them in our lives. What did you do the night before that job, weeks before the job interview, when you knew you had it? You prepared you had a bowl out for your oatmeal, your cereal, whatever you had in the morning time. Your coffee cup was out. Your clothes were laid out. You studied, you rehearsed, you were ready. You brought your best self. You were going to war with yourself because you wanted that interviewer to see your best self. You won. You got the job. After a few months in that job, you look around, I got the job. You start to back off. The clothes aren't out. You hit the snooze button. You don't get up on time anymore. You realize that you can still have this job and not be your best self. The interview you is gone. You have your job, but the interview you is gone. So winning the battle in the morning time is just that. is that you wake up in the morning time and you own all this stuff, because once you leave your house, the world then gets at you. And that's why I believe in not getting up in the morning time and checking your phone immediately. Everybody does that. They get up, the first thing they do is grab the phone, look at the phone. Maybe bad news on there. So how's your day start off? I don't go to the gym. You're caught up now on that phone. That's how your day starts. You lost control. So once you win that battle in the morning time, then once you go out, now you've won. You go outside your house, you may lose your job, you may have a bad hit, but you won something. So you're going into battle having already won something. So then, if you hit the snooze button, you go out, you're just defeated already. You're behind the power curve. Now you've won something. You feel better about yourself. So now you're able to take these hits along the way.
Well, we all know sleep is really good for you. In fact, I cheat myself because I could probably, if I could sleep a little longer, I would probably be better, because all medical science tells you that how important, 7-8 hours of sleep is for each person. What I want to say to you is, when you wake up. Don't sleep during the day. Don't get a little bit unconscious and let life pass you. Be intentional. Go for it. Be in the moment. Be alert. Be aware. Seize the time. We don't have much of it. I guess what I'm really saying is, when you're awake, stay awake. Then when you sleep, it's a little bit more legal.
If one cannot arrange that an income of 24 hours shall exactly cover all proper items of expenditure, one does muddle one's whole life indefinitely. We shall never have any more time. We have, and we have always had, all the time there is. It's not that difficult to get something started. You run it for a while, and after a while it starts running you. That's part of the challenge. I told my staff one day, giving birth to a tiger is one thing, learning how to ride it is something else, right? Sometimes you start it and then it turns around and starts giving you all kinds of trouble. If you're working already 8-10 hours a day, that's about it. You just can't work much more than that. Bursts at a time, you can work 12, 14, 16, right? I'm sure we've all learned to do that, put in the extra time. But after a while, you pretty well have to put your life in balance, or your health is in jeopardy, and your heart's in jeopardy, your blood pressure's in jeopardy, a lot of things, if you don't stay in balance. So you don't have to put in any more hours, probably. All you have to do is just make better use of the hours. A cliche we've all heard. It's not the hours you put in, it's what you put in the hours that counts.
You must understand that life has a way of taking you through perilous times, transitions and traumas, adversities, crisis, good days and bad days. I don't care how clean you live and how righteous you are, you're gonna have trouble sometime. Life has a way of being its own schoolmaster. Over a period of years, without any college classes, courses, books, or tapes, life will teach you something. You soon learn that life has its own pattern and it has its own rhythm. If you are a connoisseur of life, you observe all things. You learn from all people. You learn from all life's events. And after a while, you start drawing conclusions. When you start drawing conclusions, you draw them not for the benefit of judging other people, but you draw conclusions in the hopes that you might begin to understand what life is all about. Because after you lived a long time, you wise up a little bit. Just by virtue of staying here on the planet, of surviving good days and bad days, of seeing the sequence of life.
The world is not like the movies. The movies aren't real. They don't exist. But you do. And this life it's better than any movie there is. go out into the world and actually feel it. Go feel joy and love and triumph and rapture and ecstasy and glory. Go feel those things. And you know, with those feelings, there will be other feelings as well. There will be sorrow and pain and sadness and desolation and suffering. There'll be all those feelings too, but you know what? That's okay. That's okay. Take both sides. Feel all of it. That's what life is. Those feelings, those emotions, those highs and those lows, those are life.
If you really want to be transformed, you have to live an intentional life. This is so simple, I don't want you to miss it. Most people don't lead their life, they accept their life. And when you accept your life, you are living on things that are not worthy of your time and effort and energy. And you heard me say in the moment, everything worthwhile is uphill. The reason I want you to understand that is to go uphill, you have to be intentional. Nobody ever went uphill by accident. You've never read a book on accidental achievements. You have to be intentional with what you do and who you are. And so I would just say to you, find your strengths, become very intentional, and commit your life every day to it's all uphill. See, the great mistake we make is we think, I'm going to go out and make enough money, and there's a day when I can relax and I can rest and everything's going to be easy. Can I tell you something? The day that you have that day, you know, one of your children, you know, gets in an accident. Problems will never, ever leave you. Issues, obstacles, difficulties, they're always going to surround you. So you never get to that place where you've got it made. You're not supposed to got it made. You're supposed to add value to people, and it's all uphill. So the moment I understand that, then what happens is I commit myself to it, and then it becomes a beautiful uphill climb in life. Because one thing that's beautiful about going uphill is the scenery is really good.
Survival is necessary, but survival is living. The real problem with life is that at some point, you've got to start living it. Participation is required. This thing is not a spectator sport. You have got to get in the game and sweat it out. Yes, you'll get banged up. You'll get tossed around. You'll take some losses, but you'll also pick up some important wins. Wins that go a long way to developing who you are and your contribution to this world. I'm saying you've got to live as though it's an easy thing to do. As though there was some switch in your bedroom you can flip to get your real life started. Oh no. Life is easy. It is. Life is easy. It happens continuously. It happens all around you all the time. Living is hard. How many rules must you imprison yourself with before you get it? Before you see that the rules you would like to protect yourself from the mistakes you made, to protect yourself from where you came from and what happened to you, can become your prison. And I believe that that's what happens to most people. They go through life making tiny edits to it. Little footnotes that mean, she said my teeth were crooked, so I can smile confidently. Because I got hurt last time, I won't trust again. I was so disappointed last time I tried, I won't let myself want again. You see what I'm getting at? These rules start early, and sometimes they're forced on you. So I know living is hard. Being stuck in anger, that's a rule for how you should respond to a particular situation. Being ravaged by anxiety, that's a rule for how you should react to uncertainty. Indecisiveness, procrastination, these are rules for how you should react to opportunity. Rules, 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 they're everywhere. Damn the rules and ask yourself, am I living?
So make your own comic book. Make your life your own movie. Actually make it better than a movie. Not better because it's more adventurous or more romantic or more melodramatic. Make it better because it's real. So go out there, move toward the light, and live. it's real, so it is better. And you know what? Real comes with some downsides. Real comes with some darkness. But that's okay. It's okay, because when you know the darkness, the light becomes even brighter.
Am I going through life with my whole self? Am I fully experiencing the moments, or am I watching them go by? Am I doing all I can with the opportunities that life is presenting me? Am I enjoying life, or am I managing it? Are my happiness and my joy conditional? If I died today, would my life have been fully used up? I'm not preaching, I'm just asking. Living isn't just about the adventurous and the exciting things you do, the things you post on Instagram. Living is about the hard places. It's also about the dark places. Living is about where it hurts, going to those places. It's about processing pain, changing attitudes. It's about lifting those blocks, obstructing your path to the experience called living. If you feel this, if your heart is starting to race, if your mind is starting to churn, that's you. That's you saying, yes, I want to live again. I want to start living again. Don't tell me about change. I know about change. I want to know specifically, what are you going to do? Who are you going to forgive? What are you going to let go of? When do you admit that you have a problem? When do you conclude that maybe it's you? When do you allow yourself to love and to be loved again? What I do know is that this is the only life I remember. This is the only life I have, and I intend to use it up. I'm going to experience fully what there is. That means the victories and the losses. That means the laughter and the tears, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Let's start living again.
I've resolved in my spirit, in my heart, that every experience is my education. So the good experiences and the bad experiences, I'm going to learn from that, and I'm going to discover the opportunity for me to grow and for me to get better. You have to make a decision that I will learn from this thing.